Hello everybody and welcome back to the space where we say that I can sleep. Just going to keep this intro nice and short, so I just wanted to wish you guys a great weekend. I hope you guys are having a good end to your week and a good start to the next week. And hopefully the weather is good for you guys. It is very bipolar for me over here in California. It was literally hot the past couple days and today it is raining. Which is actually funny considering the title of today's chapter. But anyways, as per usual, if you guys are enjoying these readings and would like for me to continue doing these readings, you can show your support by leaving me likes, leaving me comments, sharing my stuff, and even following me on my platforms like iKenSleep on Spotify, iKenWin on TikTok and YouTube, and officially.iKenWin on the Instagram. Now let's begin our ascension once again into Heaven Official's blessing. Chapter 32. Deficient Rain. The Rainmaster lends the rain hat. The boy was left completely and utterly stunned. Meanwhile, Fang Xin and Mu Qing both wished they could grow several more arms and legs to smother Xilian. And it was with great difficulty that they finally pulled him back. And yet Xilian effortlessly pushed them away, declaring, "All right, I'm done. I know I broke the rules, but if you just pretend you heard nothing, all will be well. As long as you guys don't say anything, no one will know. It's just this once. Don't say a word. Do you hear me?" Mu Qing looked like he'd been forced to eat a sock. He shook his head, muttering, "I can't believe you. Saying something like, 'Live on for me,' so unapologetically? You're really..." Xilian didn't think what he said was much of anything at first, but hearing Mu Qing, now it sounded like it was quite something indeed, and he flushed bright red. Fang Xin immediately turned stern. "Enough. His Highness already said not to speak of it, so why are you still talking about it?" Yet the corners of his own lips were twitching as he spoke. Xilian couldn't stand it anymore and defended himself. "What? What? What I said clearly worked. Look." The boy sat in a daze for a long while, but when Xilian's voice didn't return, he rubbed hard at his face and reached for the offering plate on the altar. He held it in his arms and started eating the shriveled fruit and refreshments. He chewed and chewed vigorously, looking like a pitiful, vicious small animal. Xilian bent down to watch him, a smile spreading across his face. "You see?" he said to the other two. "It worked. He refused to eat before, but now he is." "All right, fine. It worked, because you're a god," Mu Qing said. Right. It worked, because you're a god," Fang Xin said as well. Xilian straightened and grew serious once more. "Indeed, I am a god. I called you both over because I have come to a decision." In an instant, the relaxed atmosphere turned heavy again. "What do you want us to do?" Fang Xin asked, while Mu Qing queried, "Are we still getting involved?" "We are. It's simple," Xilian said. "There is not enough water in the kingdom of Shenle, so we will go to the kingdoms outside Shenle." "Go to other kingdoms?" Mu Qing asked, sounding doubtful. "Won't they be too far? We'd need to borrow water-creating spiritual devices from some water god and impose on the territories of other heavenly officials. They might not be willing." Of course, Xilian had considered this. "I'm going to give it a shot. It's still better than doing nothing. You two stay and keep watching over Yang'an. Lend assistance to the worst affected areas and I will return to the upper court. Any problem with that?" "No problem. I've got your back," Fang Xin said. Mu Jing gave it some thought and asked, "But what about all the prayers from the devotees at the temple of the Crown Prince, Your Highness?" "I was getting to that," Shilian replied. "Pick out the important ones and take care of them for me. The not-so-dire ones can wait." Mu Jing appeared rather reluctant, but still acknowledged the command. "You're the Crown Prince, so we'll listen to you. But I'd advise not letting them wait too long." Shilian patted their shoulders. Function and Mu Jing bowed, then departed, leaving only Shilian and the child in the small shrine. As Shilian exited the shrine, he took a brief glance back. However, he didn't stay a moment longer and rushed straight for the heavenly capital. Initially, he had planned to pay a visit to any of the heavenly officials who controlled water, but strangely, they seemed to all be on leave and absent from their respective residences in the heavenly capital. Only the Rainmaster, who didn't reside in the heavens, was on active duty. As Shilian hurried down the streets of the capital, he bumped into a black-clad female official carrying an armload of scrolls. She smiled. "Your Highness, you're finally back." "Nangong. Perfect timing," Shilian said, then immediately asked, "Do you know where the Rainmaster's residence is located?" This black-clad woman was named Nangong Jie, and she was a low-ranking civil official from the Middle Court. Since Shilian's ascension, she was the one taking care of much of the bureaucratic grunt work and related errands. She was well informed about current events and handled cases adeptly, so Shilian thought highly of her. "The construction of Lord Rainmaster's new palace isn't complete yet, but a temporary residence is situated in the kingdom of Yushi in the south," Nangong Jie said. She gave him the address to the Rainmaster's residence, then inquired further, "Why are you looking for Lord Rainmaster?" "Urgent business. Thanks for your help," Shilian said. He was about to leave, but turned back and cleared his throat, sounding embarrassed. "Nangong, you're more familiar than I am with the heavenly officials of the upper court. Can you tell me if Lord Rainmaster likes anything in particular?" When new heavenly officials ascended, the more astute ones would pay visits to the palaces of every official and greet them with gifts as a social salutation. This was pretty much an unspoken rule. However, Shilian had ascended too suddenly, and no one taught him when he first arrived. It was only afterward that the state preceptor reminded him, but by then it was already too late and it would have only made things awkward. Also, to a crown prince like Shilian, it felt too much like a backhanded bribery, and he didn't appreciate the practice. In the end, he decided to just go about things naturally, hoping for a chance to build relationships with the other officials through more genuine means. It was an admirable idea. But now, as he turned back to it and proactively asked what a heavenly official would like, it sounded quite like he was about to bribe someone. He couldn't help but blush with shame, but he had no choice. The other gods who resided at the heavenly capital communicated through the spiritual communication array, which would have made negotiation much easier. But the Rainmaster did not communicate in this manner, and Shilian didn't want other gods to misunderstand his intentions, to think that he was looking to borrow spiritual devices for nothing. Nangong Jie immediately understood. "Regrettably, I'm afraid I can't help your highness in this matter. Lord Rainmaster is quite low-key. I doubt there's anyone in the entire heavenly realm who knows the Lord's personal interests, myself included. Sorry." Shilian reddened. "No worries, don't take it to heart. Thanks. But if my lord needs to, it won't hurt to simply pay a visit," Nangong Jie added. "By my understanding of Lord Rainmaster's temperament, you might still be granted an audience." Shilian thanked her again, and followed her directions southward until he arrived at the temporary residence of the Rainmaster. It was a small village surrounded by green mountains and clear waters, a land of picturesque scenery. But Xilian had no mind to appreciate it. He crossed through the ridges of fields and finally saw a stone marker with the word rain engraved on it. Logically speaking, after passing the stone marker, he would be in the temporary domain of the Rainmaster, and those working within it should be the Rainmaster's subordinates. But as Xilian walked, he only saw lush green fields all around. In the fields, there were oxen mooing, mills turning, assiduous farmers planting rice stalks, and beside the fields, there was a small, crooked thatched cottage. There was neither trace nor sign of divinity, and Xilian wondered if he'd gone in the wrong direction. Wasn't this simply a small, impoverished farming village? As he doubted himself, a black ox in a far field let out a long, lowing noise, and another. Then, it stood back on its hind legs, and its forelegs stretched out in order to remove the plow from its own back. That strong, solid body narrowed, the long oxen's snout shrank, and in the blink of an eye, it had transformed from a sleek black ox into a farmer, stripped to the waist. The farmer was tall and strong, his muscles well defined, and the contours of his face hard. His nose had a polished iron nose ring hooked through it like that of an ox, and a long grass stalk hung from his lips. The other farmers witnessed this extraordinary transformation, but continued to work like it was nothing. Xilian concluded that no one here was mortal and approached, raising his folded hands in courtesy. "Fellow cultivator, may I inquire whether this is the temporary residence of Lord Rainmaster?" The black ox farmer pointed to the field bank directly across and replied, "Yeah, Lord Rainmaster lives there." Xilian looked around several times before confirming that the only thing in that pointed direction was indeed the thatched cottage. It looked like it would topple from a mere breeze, and it surely leaked on rainy days. Even his most shabby, decrepit shrines looked solider and more respectable than that little cottage. Xilian amazed. They said the Lord Rainmaster was of royal descent like himself, from the kingdom of Yushi. It was for that very reason that he didn't bring any precious gems or rare treasures as a greeting gift, thinking perhaps that the Rainmaster felt the same way he did about those things, which was nothing. Why live in such destitution after ascension? Maybe it was another form of cultivation? Mindful of his manners, Xilian thanked the farmer and approached the little cottage, calling with a loud, clear voice, "Lord Rainmaster, please forgive this Prince of Shenle for making an abrupt visit without prior notice." There was no response from within the cottage. The farmer ambled over, hauling the plow along after him. "Oh, you're that crown prince who ascended at age 17? "Regrettably," Xilian said. "Nothing regrettable about it. It's just the truth," the farmer said. "But Lord Rainmaster doesn't enjoy entertaining guests and was injured recently, so I'm afraid you won't be received today." Xilian was disappointed at hearing this, but still wanted to keep trying. "Then, may I ask you to pass on a message for me? I have an urgent request. However, if Lord Rainmaster should feel inconvenienced by it, I won't persist." The farmer chuckled. "No need to pass on any word. We all know why you're here. Feels bad, right? Having no water in Shenle?" Xilian was taken aback. "You know of Shenle's affairs, sir?" "Of course I do," the farmer said. "And that's not limited to just those of us on this middle-of-nowhere mountain. Right now, who doesn't know that catastrophe is about to befall your kingdom of Shenle? You don't know anything about your own affairs, but everyone spectating understands what's really going on. And they're probably all enjoying the show. You're here to borrow the Rainmaster's spiritual device for disaster aid, right? Those were enlightening words. It was only then that Shilian realized those heavenly officials in the upper court weren't coincidentally all gone at the same time. They all knew what his intentions were and purposely shut their doors or left in advance to dodge him, to avoid being dragged into his mess. He sighed. Should I have paid everyone's palaces a visit at the beginning? Would that have made it easier to find someone willing to assist among my peers? It was a depressing thought. He responded in a small voice. That's right. If I am causing trouble for the Rainmaster, I will not pester any further. However, the farmer said, Why won't you pester? Because it's shameful? This is about the survival of your kingdom. Shouldn't you pester us to death? Is it so hard to lower yourself and ask? Young people shouldn't be rattled so easily. Let me say something unpleasant. Should Lord Rainmaster help, it's on account of kindness. If not, it's on account of duty. Whether you'll be lent that device is based on the Lord's mood. So if you don't get what you want, don't bother complaining about it later. Shilian knew that what he said made sense, but the situation was so dire, and the farmer's tone was so unfriendly, that a wave of anger rolled through him. He held his head higher and replied in an upright voice. I understand everything you are saying, and I would never complain behind anyone's back. But why must you make assumptions about how I'll react? I said I will not pester simply because I do not want to waste my time and cause trouble for Lord Rainmaster in the process. But if Lord Rainmaster would not feel inconvenienced, and all I need to do is borrow the spiritual device to be bothersome about it, then it would be nothing for me to offer up all 8,000 of my temples and kowtow 100 times. The farmer burst out laughing. You're angry? You have the temper of a child. Here. He tossed something over. Shilian raised his hand and caught a grass-colored bamboo hat, the very one that the farmer previously had on his back. What is this? Shilian asked. The thing you wanted to borrow, the farmer explained. Lord Rainmaster already asked me to pass this to you before you came. Use it carefully. If you break it, we won't forgive you. Shilian's eyes widened. Why? Didn't I already tell you? The farmer asked. The loan was based on the Lord's mood. Other heavenly officials won't help you, so Lord Rainmaster had to go against the flow. Whatever Lord Rainmaster wants to do shall be done. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shilian cried. Don't be too happy so soon, Your Highness, the farmer added. Lord Rainmaster may have ascended before you, but has fewer devotees, and thus less power. And there are those recent injuries to consider. The loan of that thing is all you'll get. The rest is up to you. Distant waters cannot quench nearby thirsts. The Rainmaster's hat can move rain, but not create water. There's not enough water in your Shenle, so you must borrow from other kingdoms, and they may not be willing. Only the kingdom of Yushi has had rain in abundance in recent years, and it is rather wealthy in that aspect. However, there is a great distance to be crossed between the two kingdoms, and every use of that hat will drain an enormous amount of your spiritual power. No matter how much you possess, there will come a day that it runs dry. Shilian was keenly aware of how difficult it was to lend one's spiritual device to some random person. He bowed deeply to the thatched cottage. I am profoundly grateful that the Lord Rainmaster would lend a helping hand. I will not forget this kindness. Should there be anything I can do to help in the future, pray the Lord Rainmaster does not hesitate to ask for me. Farewell. With the borrowed spiritual device in hand, Shilian immediately found a lake in the south and ladled out a large portion of its water with the Rainmaster's hat. Crossing thousands of kilometers, he returned to Yang'an in Shenle. He found the worst affected village, the Bay of Lang'e, and flipped the bamboo hat over above the clouds. Soon after, a short sprinkling of rain fell from the sky. Shilian jumped off the clouds and landed both feet on the ground. The half-dead villagers couldn't believe their eyes. Some rushed out of their homes to cheer under the rain, and others hurriedly brought out buckets of all sizes to collect the water. Shilian sighed in relief at the sight of this, and he finally managed to smile. Just then, he heard a voice call out from afar. "Your Highness!" He turned and saw Muqing appear from behind the tree, his face dark. Seeing his gloomy expression, Shilian knew something was wrong. "What is it? Did something happen?"